Hey everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Reggie, and I want to talk to you about shootings, mass shootings, particularly in schools, but overall. Now, keep this in mind. I understand that this is a sensitive subject. I'm not pointing blame on law enforcement, anybody other than, yes, the government. Yes, I am. But other than that, I just want to talk for a few minutes about the real problem we have in this country regarding shootings. And I think one of the biggest problems we face is a lot of people want safety but don't inconvenience me. Now, that doesn't cover all bases for everything that happens, and it's really unfortunate, especially when we talk about what happened in Buffalo and what happened in Texas, innocent people just being gunned down. But we're living in a country to where we all know that guns are rampant in the United States. Guns are just simply all over the place. There's a variety of ways to get guns, and very little legislation has been passed to stop it. For instance, the situation that's going on with ghost guns. A lot of these things, the U.S. government can step in and pass laws to make it very either difficult or inaccessible for people to get them. None of that has happened. Despite the many shootings that have taken place, the United States government pretty much has did absolutely nothing. And a lot of this has been thrown on the lap of police departments to kind of solve an issue that has been going on for hundreds of years. And they want, police departments, to just come up with a one-day remedy when something happens, stop it before it happens. So I'm not excusing all police departments for their actions or behaviors and the things they do, but there are certain situations to where you got to look at it and say, this is more about the government doing more than just talking about it. Like what's happening now, I guarantee come election time, every politician is going to be talking about gun control, but not one politician is going to do anything. Absolutely no laws, no legislation is going to be passed, and this doesn't just keep repeating itself. I say all that to say that I think that the people are going to have to put pressure on. For instance, let's just take schools. We're going to have to put pressure on the education system to really deploy more resources into the actual building and modification of schools to make them safer. They really are. I mean, the fact that with today's technology, and most schools are still using keys as a way of accessing buildings. Most places now are using Prox cards. They're using Prox readers. They're easier to lock on a quick notice. They can even be set up to where if a door in a certain area is not closed properly, it'll send an alarm, letting you know like, hey, this door is open. You might want to check it. A lot of places, they don't want to hire security. And you have places that do have security, but they don't want to properly equip security. We also have situations to where you might have a security detail for an organization that's actually reporting to somebody who has no clue, no understanding whatsoever of safety or what it takes to incorporate safety, what it takes to actually have your security or safety team respond to anything. And you'll find this in most places where your security or even sometimes your police officers for certain departments, this is not talking about police department now, I'm talking about like private and public institutions, as far as like businesses, they will have their security people report to somebody. Like in some colleges, your campus safety, public safety, the VP in charge will be the dean of students, who has no background whatsoever in the protocols or procedures for safety or enforcing safety or responding to emergency calls. You also have situations to where you got your safety department reporting to an engineer, somebody in the maintenance department. You have this happening in some institutions, and primarily you will find this in a lot of colleges, especially smaller colleges, even some four-year colleges, to where they don't have the proper leadership in place, to where when something happens, you don't have somebody with that knowledge and that background to institute the right safety protocols and also properly, equip their officers to respond with protocols of how to respond. And this is an issue. This is an issue. And I think I can go off into a tangent on that, but let me stick to what I want to talk to you about. Like I said, this is going to be a short video, but I think the real problem we face here is a lot of people want safety, but they don't want inconvenience. You got a lot of people when they travel to certain places, one of the biggest complaints is, oh, I had to show my ID 3 times. I had to keep getting checked. I had to go through this, go through that. And, we have the same things. Just think about when you see people who go to certain places and they park in an area that's clearly marked no parking, and they get upset and they say, well, my hazard lights are on. It's there for a reason. Those safety protocols are in place for a reason. Right now we got a lot of schools going through graduations, and you may have some security details who are saying, hey, we don't want people walking to this point or coming past this fence area. You will have people get upset and say, you know what? I think that's not right. I want to take a picture. This is an inconvenience. They don't like it, especially here in America. A lot of people don't like inconvenience. They don't like the wait. They don't like the extra steps. They want it right now. And sometimes when it comes to safety, you're going to have inconveniences. You may have to show your ID twice. You may have to have certain checkpoints to make sure everything is okay. Anytime you're going to implement safety protocols, that means you're gonna have some inconvenience. And the problem with this country is people don't want inconvenience. I remember watching The View, and Meghan McCain was on there, and if I remember correctly, she's one of those people that really loves guns, and she has, some guns. But she became very upset when they was talking about the fact that maybe people should have to give their guns or take their guns away. Meghan McCain became upset. I'm not releasing my guns. We have a lot of people who are like that. I tell people when they talk about, well, the Constitution says we have the right to bear arms. Well, think about when that was actually written in place in the Constitution. Think about the firearms that was used during that time frame. Those guns were basically muskets. It was powder, a little ball, pop, pop, pop. You had to pound it in, put the ball in, pound it in. You had to tear it off, put the gunpowder in, pound it in, and shoot. Versus today's guns, where guns can shoot 9 to 20 bullets a minute, especially if you got a modified, oh my God. If your gun has been modified to where the cartridge can hold more than 9 to 12 bullets. And also, you got to think about the fact that there wasn't fully automatic weapons back then. As technology increased with guns, the laws never adapted to the technology of guns, the modifications of guns. The technology upgraded, but the laws didn't. And because of that, there are guns out right now that people I just feel like people shouldn't have. The National Rifle Association has become a major political player to where their money is preventing a lot of politicians from making the right decision, which means they are basically crappy politicians and they should not be sitting in office. Anytime something that is a leisure becomes more important than preserving life, that's a problem. And it tells you about the mindset of a people. The fact that the massive number of lives being taken doesn't make you think that I would give this away if it means we have a law that protects these people, especially now that you're talking about children getting killed. You know, and it's not like what happened in Texas was the first, school of young kids to get killed. You know, we had Sandy Hook, and this is just the thing. It's like people don't want to be inconvenienced, especially when it comes to safety. I see people get upset all the time. If they go somewhere and a security or officer asks, can I see your ID? Maybe certain buildings, you got to show your ID before you go in. People get upset. They get mad that you have to be verified. But these are the things that are put in place to protect people. When you're going to games, you can't carry certain things. You can't, you maybe can't have a backpack. You maybe can't have a bag. People get upset. There are reasons these protocols are put in place to preserve life, but also so that you can be able to enjoy the things that you want to enjoy. But it goes back to what I said. In this country, people don't want to be inconvenienced, and it doesn't matter if that inconvenience is going to save a life. People don't want to be inconvenienced. It's give me safety, but whatever safety rules or safety protocols you put in place, it cannot inconvenience me. And that's what we're running into. When they put TSA at the airport, people were having a fit about how long the lines were, the length of time it took to go through. But right now, everybody is just so reactive to what's going on when an incident occurs. It's like that's the time to create some type of policy or some type of rule. Organizations, businesses, schools, you have to put your own safety protocols in place, and it's got to be enforced from the top down. The biggest problem is a lot of these CEOs, college presidents, chief information officers, all of these VPs and presidents on the top, they don't enforce the same rules. They don't stand by them. It doesn't apply to them. And they don't enforce it to be an example of these are the protocols for our company. Now, there are some companies that really do stand by that. And I can tell you, I remember when I worked at Cox Enterprises, we had a VP, and one of the procedures was when you walk inside that building, you had to show your ID. You don't get on that elevator unless you got your ID. This guy was one of the vice presidents, and when he walked in that building, and there was a couple times he walked in, he did not have his ID on him. And you better not tell him, it's okay, go ahead. No. When he walked in, he had to show his driver's license because he forgot his employee ID. He had to show his driver's license. He had to sign in. He had to get a paper badge to stick on his jacket. And he had to wear that all day until he left. He did that. And that said something to the other employees like, oh, crap, the VP is signing in. The VP is wearing this badge. Let me put my badge on. That is the type of VPs you need. That is the type of leadership that says, I value safety. I follow the safety rules. My staff needs to follow the safety rules. I have seen presidents and CEOs of companies send out emails about their condolences when something bad happens, but yet they take no initiative within their own organization to ensure that safety protocols are in place to equip their safety team with the right materials and tools to protect the people for that company. So it's kind of like you're a hypocrite. And I think we have to get past the point of being okay, of not okay with being inconvenienced. We have to get past that point. People have to realize that when it comes to safety, you are going to be inconvenienced, which means you may have to check in someplace. You can't park wherever you want to park. Some places actually put up barriers where you can't drive in. You know, if you don't have your card, yeah, you got to check in if you can't get into a room. There may be policies in place about access or after hours access. You know, these are the things that people complain about, but these are the things that really help to make a building safe. It gives your safety team and even police officers a chance to assess a situation, to assess a person. So following these protocols, you're actually helping to keep places safe. In regards to school, now I want to speak to schools specifically. I think parents really need to push the education system, especially when the state education system, even private institutions, to institute more safety protocols in those schools. Like I spoke earlier, you know, the fact that a lot of these doors are still locking by keys when they can use prox readers, secondary doors to secure. So if you do get somebody walking through a building with a gun, that you can lock them. You can hold them for a few minutes. They can stand there kicking at that door, but the goal is to give those young kids, those faculty, those teachers, and those students time to get to a safe place, barricade the door. But schools are gonna, the board, how do you want to say, like the Board of Education, for whatever district you're in, they are going to need to actually spend money on this. There are companies who can provide them with safety protocols. Like I said, you guys know, I told you before in another video that I've been working in the higher ed for years. And I told you the story about how when we built a new dorm, and one of the agreements was that there was going to be 2 checkpoints to go in. And one of the checkpoints was when you come in the first door, you had to use your access card to get in. When you got to the hallways that led to the actual dorms, you had to use your access card to get down that hallway. The dean of students made the decision that she thought the students was being inconvenienced because a few students said when people come to visit us that they had to walk out to the hallway to let them in. So the dean of students, who didn't tell me, who I was a director at the time, made the decision that she was going to deactivate every single hallway door, every door that led into the hallways where the actual dorm room doors were. And of course, what happened? We ended up having, it was actually 4, but 2 confirmed sexual assaults because she hit the other ones. But 2 confirmed, a young lady, let's put it like this. A young lady was actually raped in her room because the guy got in through the first door. When she went through the second door, they didn't make an announcement that those doors was going to be deactivated. She got down that door where she could have previously swiped her card, closed the door behind her, the door locked, got to her room and ran in. But unfortunately, he got in through the first level. The second defense level, she deactivated, so the guy was able to pull the door, go straight down, and before she could get in the room, he got to her. These are the things that I talk about when I say inconvenience, because a few people wanted their friends to have access to their rooms, and a safety department reporting to somebody who was not familiar with safety protocols made the decision to deactivate the secondary safety feature in that building. A young lady got raped. This is why I say it's very important that we don't feel like inconvenience is worthy enough to eliminate safety protocols. You know, you have to stand behind your safety and security departments at your schools. You know, and a lot of places, you know, having one resource officer at a school, that's insufficient. Insufficient. Because what happens when he goes to lunch? Can he eat lunch? Because this is the stuff you got to discuss. Like, can that person go off the school grounds to eat lunch? He's entitled to a lunch by law. So can he go take a 30-minute lunch off campus? And then when something happens, how is he notified to get back? Is he allowed to go off campus for lunch? Is lunch provided for him? Why are there not 2 or 3? And there should be. Schools are going to have to be built in a way that safety is included. It's included. During the daytime, would it make sense for somebody to go around and check certain doors to make sure that these doors are secure? I mean, you can have just a basic security guard who does that, and then you can have a resource officer, an armed resource officer, whose main function is to respond for physical incidents. But like I said, people don't want to be inconvenienced. Safety is going to mean inconvenience, and people have to be mindful of that. The educational system and businesses, you're going to have to step up and put money into your safety program. Put money into installing doors that can be quickly locked, doors that would alarm someone if a door is left ajar or entry is made at a time that is not supposed to be. These are the things that need to be done. A lot of you think these schools have this, they don't. A lot of us see like maybe a security guard and like one, oh, okay, they got security, there you go. But do you actually ask the schools, what time does that security guard start? Is it 24/7? Are you guys monitoring your doors? Or are your doors on a prox reader or only on a key? If they're on a prox reader, does it alert you? Is someone monitoring that to respond to it? How often are patrols? See, these are the things that people need to ask. And these are the things that schools need to start doing. I think a lot of people think or see elementary schools as young kids. What can happen? They're young kids. They're 10, they're 12. But guns are all over the place now. And you got kids who are within the age of 10 carrying guns. But also the main thing is there should be somebody at each school to assist. And as you know, I think it was a while ago, don't quote me on this, but I believe that some places were actually getting rid of the school resource officers. Think about it. People scout out stuff all the time. All the time they're scouting it out. Anytime somebody gets mad or has a grievance against a company or organization, one of the first things their minds do is they're scouting out. I'm pissed at that principal. Or that girl, I don't like her, I don't like him. I know they go to school at this time. I know everybody's in class at this time. Is it open access down to the classrooms? Do visitors have to check in? Like, can visitors coming to the school get to a certain point and be like, oh crap, gotta check in? Are doors monitored? I mean, it's all of this stuff. There's so much technology out there to help keep students safe. And there's actually safety measures you can put in place that if a shooter is walking in a building and he's coming down a hallway going to classrooms, you can actually isolate them in one area to give the students and teachers time to either escape, or you can limit him to that area. Hopefully there's a faster police response that was in Texas, but at least if you got one cop that's on the scene first and he goes in that building, there's a means to know, like, hey, we got cameras installed so we can see the hallway. He's in this section. We've locked these doors. Teachers and students have been told not to come out of their classrooms. Now you're giving police more of an option, like, okay, they can come in, they can hit both doors, you can open it, or whatever their command is or how they want to neutralize the situation, it's on them. But at least you are protecting the kids until they can get there, or the resource officer can get back. You know, when that first officer or that first person gets on the scene, try to give them as much advantage as you can. But that means there's going to be some inconveniences, and that means that schools are going to have to put some money into what they do. A lot of these private organizations have some of this stuff already. You know, if a school has a camera system, why not have your IT create an access that when police pull up, they can view the cameras from their cars? That they can say, Okay, we got eyes and ears inside of the building. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say all police are good. Y'all know I done already stated that, how I feel about that. I don't think all police are good, but there are some good police with good intentions who do want to do their job and just help people. But the thing about it is, think about if you had to go into a building and you were the first one on the scene and somebody said they're shooting. You don't know where the person is. Even though you're getting calls a lot, like when he's in the harbor cross on 122, does that police officer know the layout of that building? People are hearing sounds. So you're getting reports. So a lot of that information can get confusing. One way to sort of help to kind of cipher that out and get more concise information is install cameras. And with the cameras, make it so that, and IT can do this, I know it, make it so that when the police pull up, that there's a link that they can log into where they have access to the cameras. From their cars, they can look in the car and say, okay, this is what we got. Hey, I got him. This is where he is. It'll be so much faster if they can do that, for them to formulate their plan and to go in and neutralize the situation. But when they're having to guess and sort of plot, okay, is he in the stairwell? Is he still in the stairwell? Because remember, all these calls are coming in and you're getting different information. Because somebody can hear a shot on the second floor and say, oh, I think he's on the second floor. I think he's on the second floor. And somebody on the first floor can be down there like, oh, I'm hearing shots. I think he's on the first floor. Two different floors. Work to get the police as much information. And the police, you guys need to start being more involved in getting out and getting familiar with some of these places that you go to. College campuses, a lot of these business, daycare center. Get familiar with the layout. Do a walkthrough. And don't just do it one time. Oh, okay. No, do a walkthrough. Because I know for a fact a lot of organizations, they will renovate a building. So you might have walked through in, let's say, December 2021, they just renovated in March of 2022. So now you get a car to go back. It's like, oh, this is not the same. So it needs to be something where you stay on top on your knowledge about certain areas that you think could be potentially dangerous, which a lot of it can, but try to pick spots, especially the education system, the schools, you know? But anyway, this one went longer than what I thought. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. It was kind of all over the place, but you get the place I'm trying to go. Hey, thank you for checking out this video, man. Make sure you stay safe out there. Make sure you really become active with your educational system. And, you know, companies really try to make it so you can keep your employees safe. And really think about the things that what matters. And when your company or your job starts putting in safety protocols, look at it as just that. It's safety protocols. Yes, it might be a slight inconvenience, but at least they're trying to make an effort to keep you safe. So the next time that person asks for an ID, maybe you got to stop for a little longer, or maybe you got to check in, an extra checkpoint, whatever it is. Think about the safety aspect, that it could possibly save your life or somebody else. And remember, you know, I understand the frustration with police departments. I kind of see both sides. Like I said, I don't think all police are bad. I just think you got some bad apples, you know, and of course they're spewing over. But at some point, everybody's got to work together, man. If we want to keep our young children safe, keep our elderly safe, keep each other safe, there has to be some common ground to where we're using technology and we're using communication and building rapport with the police. Police are building rapport to community, community being rapport to police, just to make sure that when something happens, we can get a faster response. They can get as much information that's concise and clear to help de-escalate the situation as fast as possible. Hey, thank you for checking it out. Don't forget, the Simply Straight Talk drops new shows every Friday. So y'all be cool, man, and stay safe. Look out for each other. And let me tell you something. We got to have love. It don't matter what your color is. It don't matter what your age is, what country you're from. We're all human. And we all live in this world together. So it's really about us just really understanding that we all have to be one. I'm out.
Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, all right here. Oh, simply straight talk.